I can get everybody to their seats. Welcome everybody to the meeting number 86 of the Standing Committee on Industry, Science and Technology. Today we have, pursuant to Standing Order 81-5, Supplementary Estimates 2017-18, we have the Minister of Industry to present to us and to answer some questions for us. So without any further delay, Minister Baines, you have up to 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chair and honorable colleagues. It's great to be here on the 86th, you were saying, official meeting for this committee. So glad to be back again. And it's great to see some new faces. Let me also take this opportunity to acknowledge my officials who will be here to answer some of the more difficult questions. As previous practice, I'll take some of the easier questions. And I also want to welcome 4 new members who have recently joined the committee as well. So a lot of new faces here on the committee as well. And I want to say from the outset that the work that you do here is really crucial in informing, shaping, and advancing public policy. This committee has been particularly helpful to my department and me personally during my time as the Minister responsible for Innovation, Science, and Economic Development. The
recommendations from your study on Canadian manufacturing sector were valuable to promote skills, encourage and support innovation and commercialization, and access to markets. I am pleased to note that our government is working hard to implement your recommendations.
In the House, it's a report on intellectual property and technology transfer. I know we discussed this when I was here last time, and I can assure you that we are studying your recommendations very carefully. They will inform our deliberations as we move forward on a national intellectual property strategy in the new year. Finally, I'd like to thank the committee for its current work on reviewing Canada's anti-spam laws. Your report will assist us in improving this very important piece of legislation. So today I appreciate the opportunity to meet with you on the occasion of tabling of the Supplementary Estimates B for 2017 and 18. And in doing so, I'm seeking approval for spending to address priorities announced in the budget, in particular promoting innovation. Mr. Chair, despite a challenging global climate, Canada's economy continues to exceed expectations. In fact, according to the International Monetary Fund, our economy will be the fastest growing amongst G7 nations for this year, and the second fastest growing for next year. As you know, the growth benefits Canadians, and we've seen incredible gains in the number of jobs created in the economy. In fact, and this is again something that the Minister of Finance has said on several occasions in the House of Commons, when our government took office, the Canadian economy has created over 500,000 jobs. Une croissance comme cela n'est pas le fruit.
Such growth is not just random. Our government makes responsible investments, and those investments have generated better jobs and opportunities for all Canadians.
Estimates that we are discussing here today. Mr. Chair, you'll remember very clearly in 2015, we changed the industry portfolio's name to better reflect its mandate and how it supports the Canadian economy. So it's an honor for me to be the first official Minister of Innovation, Science and Economic Development. We also brought the regional development agencies into the portfolio, which helps us better align and provide support to Canadians across the country, while at the same time recognizing the regional differences. Reflecting the broader mandate of the newly named department, we introduced the Innovation and Skills Plan outlined in the budget. So that was a key feature in our budget. It is a bold, forward-looking plan to invest in research, technology, and commercialization. And that's how we will position Canada as a world leader in innovation. And as the Minister responsible for ISED, I'm proud that we've got a great story to tell about the real progress being made in delivering our innovation mandate. Whether it's the $1.26 billion Strategic Innovation Fund, which consolidates and simplifies existing business innovation programming into one single fund, or while expanding support to the dynamic and emerging sector. So this is really about diversifying the economy and looking at areas of high growth. Ou encore l'initiative des super graphs.
or the Innovation Superclusters Initiative, which will invest up to $950 million over 5 years to support business-led innovation superclusters in areas where Canada has the potential to lead.
Newly established Innovation Canada is a very important collaborative platform led by ISET as well, and it will make it easier and faster for Canada's innovators and entrepreneurs to access government programs. Also reflected in the supplementary estimates is another Budget 2017 initiative, Innovative Solutions Canada, a new procurement program modeled on the best practices of the U.S. program called SBIR to support Canadian innovators and entrepreneurs. We also announced our economic strategy tables, which support innovation in advanced manufacturing, agri-food, clean technology, digital industries, health and biosciences, and clean resources. So we actually have a strategic focus on areas where there's high growth. 6 industry leaders will chair these tables, and I look forward to the opportunity to speaking about that. Our government also launched the Global Skills Strategy, which is speeding the entry of top talent with specialized skill sets and global experience to Canada. So with the talent, Mr. Speaker, comes the money. So if we truly want to succeed and grow, we need to focus on people and talent. What's more, Mr. Chair, we are rolling out a whole suite of programming to continue to develop our digital economy and give all Canadians the opportunity to participate. Quand nous parlons de literacy numérique pour
When we talk about digital literacy for all Canadians, our message is clear. No one must be left behind. No matter where we live, what our abilities are, or how much money we make. Programming includes Connect to Innovate, which brings broadband internet access to rural and remote communities across Canada.
Investments that will connect all 25 communities and with high-speed internet in Nunavut, plus communities in Quebec and Northern Ontario. Another program, which is really worthwhile to highlight and is part of the supplementary estimates, is CanCode, which will invest $50 million over 2 years to help young Canadians from kindergarten to grade 12 prepare for the jobs of today and tomorrow. And this is complemented by the Digital Literacy Exchange, where we're investing almost $30 million over 5 years to support teaching of basic digital skills. We're doing all of this because we know that access to the digital economy for Canadians is a key component of the innovation and skills plan. Digital literacy is really important. I have my personal biases, Mr. Chair. I've got 2 young daughters. I know that in order for them to succeed, they need to be up to speed when it comes to the digital literacy skills. Another critical feature is continuing to build a clean economy. As you know, this is a priority for our government. The Minister of the Environment says it often, and we fully support her position. The environment and the economy go hand in hand, and that's really important. That's why ISET is focused on making Canada a global leader in clean technology. This is an industry projected to be worth trillions of dollars globally, and Canada needs to claim its share of that market now. We need to really take advantage of those growth opportunities. And that's why we're continuing to fund clean technologies through Sustainable Development Technology Canada, SDTC. This was one of the changes in the machinery of government that previously existed with Natural Resources Canada that's being moved into ISET to demonstrate more support for this initiative. In the budget, we also provided $2.3 billion to help Canadian clean technology grow and expand, including $600 million in new financing through Business Development Bank of Canada and $800 million through Export Development Canada, and $400 again, as I mentioned, to recapitalize SDTC. So a suite of initiatives to really focus on the opportunities in clean technology. Finally, let me mention our support of MyTex towards meeting its goal of providing 10,000 paid internships per year. I just made that announcement yesterday, Mr. Chair and colleagues, with a significant level of investment from the federal government, $221 million over the next 5 years. This program has been very successful so far. They've got a great track record. They've actually had 21,000 paid internships in the past, and they've supported 19,000 other students in training as well. So, Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to highlight these key initiatives, and I look forward to the opportunity to address any questions the committee may have on supplementary Bs or any other question they might find pertinent. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to some good Q&As here. Ms. Singh, you have 7 minutes.
Thank you, Minister, for coming in and talking to us about what the government has been doing, particularly on your file. And I would be interested if you could talk to me a little bit more, given the investments that we are making around the innovative companies and startups in particular. And we've heard about their ability to scale. So tell me what the government is doing, and tell me how the investments that are being made there are going to help startup companies scale.
So it's a very good question, and thank you very much for that. And particularly in your writing in Markham, you see a lot of these ICT companies that are scaling up and growing. From our perspective as a government, there's really 3 areas of focus for our innovation and skills plan. The first one that I alluded to in my remarks is really a focus on talent and people, and this is promoting lifelong learning. It's really critical. If you talk to any company, this is the first issue they talk about, is talent and people. It's not even an issue that Canadians talk about. It's when we go international as well. It's the #1 issue, and this is why so many companies are investing in Canada. So that's why we made significant investments in education and training and lifelong learning as part of our innovation skills budget. The second area is focused on technology and technology adoption. Compared to our U.S. peers, we are falling behind, particularly in the SME sector. So we are focusing on many initiatives to promote more technology adoption and making big bets on certain technologies like artificial intelligence, quantum computing, digital, for example. But these platforms are horizontal platforms that have enormous opportunities to impact so many different sectors. And so that's why we're focused on that through research funding and also focusing through commercialization. The third pillar that you alluded to in this innovation and skills plan is really about scaling up companies. We are a startup nation. We're really good at starting up companies. You and I may recollect during our Ryerson days, the Digital Media Zone, DMZ at Ryerson University, was a great incubator for starting up companies, creating the opportunity for individuals to bring their ideas to market. But now the question is, how do we help them scale up and grow? And one of the initiatives I want to highlight is Innovative Solutions Canada. This is a procurement initiative by the federal government to be a marquee customer, to say, look, we're willing to be a marquee customer, especially for companies when they go abroad. And often they're asked, do you do business with the government of Canada? And if you say yes, that opens up many more doors. So we want to use government's purchasing power. We spend $18 billion on procurement. If you take away defense, for example, that's $9 billion we still spend on goods and services. So enormous opportunity we have exclusively at the federal level to support Canadian companies that are scaling up. Another initiative is superclusters. One of the key features of this is not simply about the large anchor firms, but really about the supply chain and the small businesses that want to scale up and grow. When they work with large companies, they get the mentorship, the know-how, they understand how to build capacity internally. So that knowledge transfer, that supply chain integration between the large and small firms is another example of scaling up. And we're really focusing on areas of high growth. That's why we've identified, in a very strategic way, 6 areas of growth. We have chairs for those 6 strategy tables. And so that's the government's focus. First on people, then on technology, and then making sure companies can actually scale up by us being a marquee customer and us connecting them with large firms. So that's really our approach when it comes to scaling up companies.
Thank you. I'm actually going to split my time with my colleague, Mr. Bayless.
Thank you, Mary. Merci, Ministre, pour être ici aujourd'hui.
Thank you for being here today, ministers. I have questions about the superclusters. In Quebec, the aerospace and aeronautics sector is very strong, and now we're seeing more to do with AI, artificial intelligence. Can you tell us more about the $950 million and what impact this money will have? Well, thank you for your question. You're quite right. Artificial intelligence is very important, especially in Quebec. In my opinion, all the superclusters, and my deputy can confirm this, have to do in some way with artificial intelligence.
Especially in the aerospace sector, there's such enormous opportunities. And if you look at, and this is a nonpartisan issue, and I'd like to give the other government, the previous government, kudos as well. Since 2005 and up until now, there's been close to $500,000 worth of investments in artificial intelligence. Some of that started with Mr. Martin's government, then continued on with Mr. Harper's government, and then we really stepped up under Mr. Trudeau's government. Most recently, $125 million for the Pan-Canadian Framework for Artificial Intelligence. And the logic is very simple. We have great strengths in Montreal, Vancouver, Toronto, Waterloo, Edmonton. We have pioneers in artificial intelligence like Rick Sutton. We have Jeffrey Hinton from UFT. We have Joshua Bengio from Montreal. And too often we compete against each other. And so the objective our government has is how can we actually collaborate our AI intelligence, artificial intelligence initiatives? How can we use our power to convene to bring people together so they can work together as opposed to fight for resources and compete against one another? And that's what we're seeing in the Supercluster initiative, the SuperGrap initiative, because it's really about collaboration. And I think there's enormous benefits in that area, particularly in the aerospace sector.
Excellent. Une autre question.
Excellent. I have another question about connectivity.
Yeah. 546. Okay, we are suspending. Do you want to stay in here? Okay, so in the interest of time, we're going to rejig some stuff now. In conversations I had outside, the minister is able to stay an extra 15 minutes max. The challenge will be we won't be able to get him back because we're so close to the end of the session. So I want to be able to move forward with this. So the Liberals had 6 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump to Maxime. We'll give you those 6 minutes, and Don will give you the 6 minutes, and then we'll divvy up the rest of the time appropriately. Fair enough? We're good? All right, Maxime, vous avez 6 minutes.
You have 6 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I begin, we have a motion that we wish to submit. So I'll read it now, that the committee review the Bankruptcy and Insolvency Act, the Companies Creditors Arrangement Act, and the Investment Canada Act, and that the committee invite relevant stakeholders to appear before the end of 2017 in order to provide members with information about the impact on pensioners of companies involved in bankruptcy proceedings such as Sears Canada and U.S. Steel. Thank you. We will discuss it later.
Minister, thank you very much for being with us. I really appreciate that. First of all, I know I'll have some question about my favorite corporation called Bombardier. And as you know, they receive $372 million as not a grant, but a contribution that must be reimbursed. My first question on Bombardier, and that you will have the authority and the responsibility to approve the transaction between Airbus and Bombardier. So do you know when you'll issue your recommendation about that transaction?
Thank you very much for your question. As you know, I'm the minister responsible for the Investment Canada Act. And when they present a notification of the particular transaction, we will go through a rigorous and robust process under the Investment Canada Act to advance Canada's national interest.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And maybe it will be in the best interest of Canada and our country if you have a condition about that authorization, if you can ask Bombardier to reimburse their contribution that they receive, because it was for a Canadian corporation and now it's going to France and Airbus, and that would be great before approving that, having a condition and asking Bombardier to reimburse the loan that they received. And second about that, I know that you said previously about the contribution. We asked you to put that public, the deal that you have with Bombardier or GM or another corporation, but you said it's a private agreement between you and the department and this corporation. So we didn't see the details of the reimbursement of these contribution. Is it still the same position, or?
Thank you for that question. It's a very thoughtful question because, as you know, taxpayers' money is very important. We have to be very respectful for the investments that we make. We want to make sure we get a good return on investment. Similar to, if you may recollect, during your tenure in government, the $350 million that was dispersed by the previous Conservative federal government, the same disclosure requirements are applied here, which is this is commercially sensitive. And we're very mindful of the fact that we want to, on one hand, be as open and transparent with taxpayers, but at the same time, we do not want to compromise the commercial sensitivity of the transaction.
And yes, you're right. I understand that. When I was industry minister in 2006, 2007, I had that discussion with my department for that being public. And we were successful, and it was on the website of Industry Canada, all the contribution and the reimbursement for when I was industry minister. But after that, when I had a promotion for being the foreign affairs minister, the department decided to shut that website. And but that was the same contract. So I just want to let you know that under the contract that you signed with this corporation, you can put that public on the website, and I did it at that time. That will be good for Canadians to know that. That being said, I'm against corporate welfare and big grant to corporation, and I know that the counter-argument to that is to say other countries are doing it, so we must do it if we want to be competitive. That being said, why not try to sign a new agreement between aircraft manufacturer countries to limit the state aid in aerospace sector. We had that kind of agreement before, and that was very useful. And I think we must review that kind of agreement between countries that are having aircraft manufacturer to limit state aid, because we cannot compete and giving subsidies like the other country are giving to their manufacturer like Boeing. So I know it's not in your mandate later, but it would be great if you can ask your department to look at it, and being a leader in that with discussion with your counterpart in other countries. Do you think that is something that you can look at?
So this is, I think, where we fundamentally disagree. I think we are in a global innovation race. I do believe other jurisdictions are stepping up in a meaningful way to support key sectors. The loan or the repayable contribution that we had for Bombardier, for example, is really focused on research and development. And this is, especially in the aerospace sector, it's highly intensive on research and development. This sector employs over 208,000 Canadians from coast to coast, contributes $28 billion. And I think we just need to be mindful that we have a level playing field. When other jurisdictions are stepping up for their aerospace sector, I think we in Canada must be strategic and thoughtful. In a perfect world, you're right. No government would be involved, but that's not the reality. And I think we have to be mindful of that reality, because these are good quality jobs that on average pay 60% more than their other manufacturing jobs. So it's about good quality jobs, and it's about research and development and being competitive relative to our international peers.
I know that it's a very good job, but also in my writing, I have small business people who have a very good job, and they're paying very good their employees, but they don't receive subsidies and grant and contribution like that. So for me to be fair will be to abolish all that and lower tax to every business, the big one, the small one, the medium-sized one. That will be the thing to do. And at the same time, negotiating an agreement with the other countries that are having manufactured aircraft in their country to limit this kind of contribution. But we disagree on that, and I understand that. So do you have that's it? Okay.
2 seconds.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, just very quickly, I do want to echo the comments about the importance of supporting small and medium-sized enterprises as well. One of the benefits of these investments is the 800 suppliers that also benefit. As you know, when you were in government with the automotive sector and the support given to the automotive sector, it was to support the supplier base, the dealerships, and same thing with the automotive aerospace sector. It's not only the large anchor firm, but the 800 suppliers that also are supported by the activities in the aerospace sector, and that benefits many small and medium-sized enterprises.
Thank you. Mr. Davies, you have 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Minister, for being with us today. Minister, in your opening remarks, you mentioned that the Canadian economy has created 500,000 jobs since your government took office in 2015. Can you tell me if you have a breakdown of those jobs between full-time and part-time?
Good question. My understanding is, and we do have the breakdown, I can get the breakdowns for you momentarily, but a good percentage of them are full-time jobs.
Do you know what that percentage is?
I'll confirm the exact percentage momentarily.
Thank you. Second, Minister, as we saw last week, the U.S. Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, announced its plans to slash net neutrality rules,
Correct.
which were put in place in 2015 to ensure a free and open internet, which is, of course, a key component, I think, for innovation and commerce in the future. Can you confirm, Minister, your government's commitment to net neutrality in Canada, and let us know if you've had any conversations with your U.S. counterparts to communicate your concern?
This is a very, very important issue. I think this issue is so critical not only to our economy and innovation, as you articulated, but also to our democracy. Having an open internet, having individuals should have the ability to have access to information without prejudice is so critical. Freedom of choice is essential. That's why I came out very quickly to reaffirm our government's support for net neutrality. We also are very supportive of the CRTC framework on net neutrality, and we'll engage, and we are going to continue to work with not only the U.S. but other partners and allies to promote an open internet, because it's essential for finding new solutions. It's in my opinion, it's no longer a luxury, it's essential. And I think it's absolutely critical for our democracy as well, because so much information is shared online, and people should have the freedom to choose the content they want without any prejudice.
Well, and the NDP very much agrees with that.
Excellent.
But, Minister, have you actually communicated that to your counterpart in the U.S. yet?
So at an official level, we have. I'm looking forward to the next opportunity that I have face-to-face with my counterparts in the U.S., but we clearly articulated that our viewpoint in a very firm manner to our U.S. counterparts.
I want to move to superclusters. We understand that Industry Canada is using a $950 million fund to help with superclusters initiatives. So my questions are there specific industries being targeted, and has the government identified regional or geographic areas for funding?
So this is really industry-led. This is about us saying, look, we want to use our ability and our power to convene to bring key actors together, industry, academia, civil society. This is an open and fair competition. We want the best ideas and proposals to succeed. We had over 1,000 businesses participate, 350 organizations, over 100 academic institutions as part of that. We received well over 50 proposals. We did a short list of 9. And to answer your question specifically around geography, those 9 proposals reflected initiatives across the country, and that just demonstrates that innovation is happening everywhere, that it's not only the big cities or the traditional players, but other jurisdictions really stepped up, and we saw that in Atlantic Canada, in Quebec, out west, and in Ontario. So it was great to see those initiatives put forward, and they do reflect not only great ideas, but also the geography of Canada.
Okay, thank you. My colleague, Mr. Bernier, tabled a motion about bankruptcy laws and its effect on workers. I don't think any modern industrial strategy can fail to take into account the interests of the workers, who are critical to the success of any industrial strategy. And as we saw with some famous bankruptcies like Stelco, Nortel, Sears, et cetera, workers who have deferred their wages and pensions and severance pay are losing that money. And I'm just wondering, will your government support proposals that would put workers and pensioners before secured creditors in our bankruptcy and insolvency laws?
So this is, again, something that we have seen just recently with Sears. And this debate has emerged in a more meaningful way again. And it was a debate that took place prior to that with Stelco and Nortel. And we're very mindful of that, and especially the impact this has on families and workers. You're absolutely right. This impacts many communities, especially Sears, for example. Their retail network is enormous in Canada, and it impacts a lot of communities. We, as you know, are carefully looking at the NDP proposal, and there's a block proposal as well. And we're willing to examine and see what we can do to move forward in that. One thing that we cannot and should not underestimate is the importance of the CCAA process. This allows companies that are in dire financial stress to have the opportunity to restructure and come out, and usually this preserves jobs. Right now with Sears, for example, that process is still taking place. But in the meantime, Service Canada, for example, is engaging with those workers that are going through difficult times and those families. There's been 82 sessions that have taken place. So we're very much on top of it. We're engaged, and we're looking forward to working with the NDP and the Bloc on this matter, any other political party, to see if we can make any positive steps in this area.
Thank you. How am I doing for time?
30 seconds left.
Quickly, C-45, the cannabis legislation just passed the House. Sort of, I guess, perplexingly, there's a ban in C-45 on the importation and exportation of recreational adult-use cannabis products. There's no such ban on medicinal products. So given that the global industry for cannabis is going to be multi-billions of dollars, and it's an innovative, technological, intellectual property-laden industry where other countries will start copying Canada, would you be a voice at the cabinet table for relaxing that so Canadian entrepreneurs can actually get first market access in this highly innovative and burgeoning and lucrative field?
We're out of time. If you want to...
Yeah, I'll be very quick. Look, our priority as a government, and my priority, I've got 2 young girls, is keeping marijuana out of the hands of young people and keeping the profits away from criminals and the gangs. That's really been the focus. So I must confess, this is an issue that I haven't thought about, because those are the 2 priorities that really consume my attention.
Thank you very much. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. We have a very short period of time, so there's going to be 3 Liberals at 2 minutes each, 2 Conservatives at 2 minutes each, and Don, you get one 2 minutes. Okay, so let's go. So, Majid, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Minister, for coming in. I want to focus on the Strategic Innovation Fund, $1.26 billion, and there's another $200 million addition. Can you quickly help me understand Why did you create this fund? And how do you want it to? How did you envision it to be different than the funds that were allocated to the innovation before? And what are you trying to accomplish?
So again, this is just being very thoughtful about the role of government. We recognize that other jurisdictions are stepping up in terms of attracting investments and growing their companies. The objective of this fund was to consolidate the traditional funds from aerospace and auto and open up to all sectors, so more competition. That way we get better proposals, better return on investments, and more jobs that are created here in Canada. And that's the objective. Right now we have enormously a lot in our pipeline in terms of proposals, and that was the objective. Was we want to identify areas of high growth. So that can be in agriculture, for example. That can be in advanced manufacturing. That can be in clean technology. That can be in clean resources, for example, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the objective of the fund, is to open up to high growth markets and particularly high growth sectors.
So the pipeline, as you said, is full now. When do you anticipate some of these funds being allocated to the?
So again, some of these discussions are taking place, but I anticipate we'll be making 3-4 announcements possibly before the end of the year, and continue to make more announcements in the new year as well. In the first quarter, the objective is not only do we establish this fund very quickly after the budget, but we really marketed it to industry very quickly, and the response was overwhelmingly positive. And we are now just being very strategic about what we want to do, and we want to make sure we do our due diligence, but we will be making our announcements very quickly.
Good. Last question on supplementary budget, supplementary estimate budget B. You're allocating about $50 million on the Strategic Innovation Fund. Is there any special area that's going in, or is that? I'm out of time. No worries. Thank you.
No, that's part of the general fund.
That is your general fund. Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
Maxime, vous avez 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you very much. Minister, the governor of the bank said a couple of months ago that he was very happy with your proposal that you did during the election and your commitment to the Canada Child Tax Benefit. Mm-hmm. The Bank of Canada, the government said it's very good because it is prompting consumption and it is a good stimulus for the economy. Do you agree with him on that?
I think there's a real anxiety and frustration and challenge by many families that are having difficulty dealing with rising costs, and at the same time dealing with the challenges of challenges around growth, around their income. And so I think this support has been very helpful to those families in need.
So you agree that this benefit is helping Canadians and prompting consumption?
I think it's definitely helping families. I hear from many people in my community, for example, with the rising costs of food, from basic needs around books for school, raising kids. I got 2 young girls. I know, they've got high expectations when it comes to clothing, food, and supplies. So this has been very helpful to many families.
Yeah, okay, but the problem with that, it's coming from a deficit, and we don't see when you will balance the budget. And also, prompting consumption, it is not what we must do to stimulate the economy. We have a declining private sector investment in Canada, and that's when private sector are investing that we have real economic growth, because the growth that we're having right now, it's with a deficit and debts, and I think it is not sustainable for the long term. The private investment is going down by 18% since 2015, ranking second lowest among 17 comparable industrialized countries. I think it's a big worry. So the best thing to stimulate the economy must be not to prompt consumption, but to have policy that will prompt and help entrepreneurs by lowering their taxes. So I hope that as industry minister, you'll be able to speak with the finance minister for being sure that he will lower taxes to every entrepreneurs and not trying to find a winner or loser.
Again, really good point. And I would say that, Chair, very quickly, we reduced the tax rate for small businesses from 11% to 9%. We introduced the Innovation and Skills Plan, which is all about focusing on training and helping companies scale up. So we're really focused on growth and productivity and competitiveness.
Thank you. Lloyd, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister, for being here. I've got a question around MyTax. In our last study on intellectual property, we talked about MyTax and possibly expanding that to include colleges as well as universities as it currently stands. Do you have any opinions on that?
Yes, I think your study was very helpful in that. The discussions you had with myself was very helpful into our department, as I mentioned right at the onset of my remarks, and colleges are now part of the MyTax program, and they can benefit from that funding and those internships.
Terrific. I'm a college grad. I have 3 daughters that are college grads, so on behalf of college grads, thank you for the attention on
Wonderful.
colleges. On the supplementary estimates, we have Canada 150 research chairs programs, 25 research chairs being created. Is there an area of priority around research chairs, either geographically or by sector, that you're focusing on?
So yes, I mean, obviously, we are focused on areas, for example, like artificial intelligence, quantum, regenerative medicine, and this is something I work very closely with Minister Duncan on, because as I said, we represent 0.5% of the world's population, and we have 2% of the publication, so we punch well above our weight, and we want to continue to do so, and that's what this funding represents. It represents our commitment to science as part of the overall innovation agenda.
It's great to see that Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council is included both within your portfolio and Minister Duncan, because social innovation is as important as other innovation. The Promo Science program that's also been announced, $3.5 million in the current budget. How do agencies participate in the Promo Science program?
It's a good question. I'll refer to my deputy to speak to that.
I'll have to get back to you on that, Minister. The Promo Science program has been launched, and there have been a series of initiatives identified, but I don't have the specifics.
Terrific. Well, thank you for being here.
Bang on. Thank you. Mr. Matt, you have 2 minutes.
Great, thank you, and thank you, Minister, for being here. I'm going to throw a bunch of questions at you, and hopefully you can answer them all here. When will we hear more about the superclusters? What's your role at the table for NAFTA? In particular, we're seeing a lot of companies choose the United States right now, leaving Canada. So hopefully you're there. Also, in your supplementary estimates, we saw the Canadian Space Agency. It's $12.8 million. They get an additional $8.6 million. Is this what exactly? This seems like a very small amount if we intend to have any role up there at all in the RadioSat constellation mission. And lastly, I feel some of your comments relating to where we are in terms of the economy. You have 2 young girls. I have 2 young girls. That's why we do these jobs. I'm more concerned that we're leaving a massive deficit for their generation. I'm hoping that you're a champion at the table for that and making sure that we're not doing that to them in the future. Thanks.
Okay. No, thank you, and I'll be very brief with my response as well. I think the supercluster, you asked when that would be coming, when would we make that public? The goal is sometime in the first or second month of 2018. We just received the applications for the second round on November the 24th. We're going to do our due diligence and evaluate those applications and hopefully make this announcement in early February. My role at the cabinet table is to be a strong voice for business and for Canadian workers, particularly when it comes to NAFTA. We want to make sure we advance Canada's national interests, and I've been very clear about that both in private and in public. With regards to space, I'm really glad you mentioned this. We are very proud of the investments we made in space, $379 million in the first budget for the International Space Station and the ongoing commitment to 2023, 2024. We introduced in the last budget $89 million for quantum encryption technology work with our international allies. We're working on a space strategy, which will have more, hopefully, funding and initiatives to support space. We launched an incredible recruitment campaign, had 2 astronauts on Canada 150. That was a point of pride. And then on the deficits, just very quickly, look, there is an infrastructure deficit. There is a healthcare deficit. We want to make sure that we have a holistic approach when it comes to the economy and not only focus on the challenges around debt and deficit, but also growth and jobs, and that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you very much. And we continue our lightning round with Terry. 2 minutes.
Minister, thank you very much for your presentation, and I'd be remiss as the chair for the Northern Ontario Caucus to thank you for the increase in the funding for FedNor in the 2017 budget. And my question will be around regional economic development agencies. And, in my opinion, they're a great equalizer, creating fairness for Canadians from coast to coast to coast, because you should be able to live wherever you want and create opportunities. What role will regional economic development agencies be playing going forward?
a very prominent role. That's why they are mentioned as part of the title, Innovation, Science, and Economic Development. The roles of the regional development agencies has been elevated. And not only have we put forward strategies, for example, the Atlantic Growth Strategy in Atlantic Canada, we're working with Northern Ontario through FedNor to have a strategy for Northern Ontario, but we will also increase funding. So more resources for diversification, for job creation, focusing on internet and connectivity, for example, in some of these rural and remote communities. So we're proud of the fact that we've increased funding for ACOA, CanNor, SEDQ, WD, and renewed the mandate for FedDev. So that just highlights how important the RDAs are to our economic agenda.
And very quickly, the superclusters have been asked and answered. You mentioned where they're going. One thing about the superclusters did in Northern Ontario especially was oversubscribed, but it had people talking for the first time in many cases. What are we going to do with the people that aren't shortlisted?
So we're going to have a pathway initiative. We're going to look at what other programs exist, initiatives exist. How can we continue to work with them to continue to promote that collaboration? And, in some cases, that collaboration and conversations are still taking place, which is really part of the success of this initiative, was to bring people together. But at the same time, we wanted to be very focused. We wanted to have a competitive process, and we want the best ideas to emerge and really set an ambitious agenda for Canada when it comes to superclusters, because it's great for Canadian companies and it's great for global investment as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And for the final 2 minutes, Mr. Davies.
Mr. Minister, as I'm sure you agree, the NDP has long believed that Canada's automotive industry is a key driver of our economy, represents about 10% of GDP, about 13% of our total merchandise exports, and it employs over 500,000 Canadians directly and indirectly. So my question too is if you can highlight briefly what your government is doing to retain and attract new automotive investment in Canada.
So I started my career at Ford Motor Company of Canada, very familiar with the automotive sector. Very proud to say that under our government, we've secured $2.6 billion worth of automotive mandates, the big one being the Ford investment. And the key feature of that is not only are we getting mandates to build cars, but we're getting mandates to build the cars of tomorrow with the investments in autonomous and connected vehicles. There's a $500 million that Ford invested. So it's really about securing that footprint in Canada. You talked about the 500,000 jobs, both direct and indirect, but it's also the focus on technology. And in order to do that, we launched a global skills strategy program to allow car companies and other sectors as well to have access to top Canadian talent and global talent, so they maintain their R&D centers here in Canada, because that's where a lot of this connected and autonomous vehicle initiatives are taking place. And the reality is people don't talk about horsepower anymore. When they talk about vehicles, they talk about software power. And so we want to be a leader in this area, and we'll continue to work with the car companies to get additional mandates on a going forward basis.
So quickly, as we know, it's also a global industry. I'm a little uncertain about your government's position on the TPP. We know the rules of origin, particularly around automotive, are concerning Canadian manufacturers. We hear that Japan wants to have 70% of their parts secured from cheap production countries. So I'm just wondering, does that concern your government, and will Canada sign on to a TPP that has that kind of provision in it?
Look, make no mistake, rules of origin is an important issue, not only in TPP, but with respect to our discussions under NAFTA as well. And we are going to make sure that we fight vigorously to have thresholds that make sense to maintain integrated supply chain in North America. And when it comes to TPP, to make sure we have a deal in place, if we proceed down that path, that will protect our automotive sector.
Thank you very much. I want to thank everybody for...
Mr. Chair, I just have further information on Promo Science and the question there. As you identified, the $3.5 million in the budget 2017 it's part of a ramp-up of the NSERC program on Promo Science. And this program is dedicated to supporting nonprofits in the support of STEM skills. I think the additional funding is particularly targeted to women in science and Indigenous youth.
That's what I wanted. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Done?
Just quickly, Mr. Chair, could I ask Mr. Newbley to send to the committee the percentages that the minister referred to about full-time and part-time jobs that have been created since 2015? It's fine if he just sends that by post or... letter to the committee if he doesn't have it?
We'll do that. As I said, what we have here is that since November 2015, 7,600 jobs have been created, but I don't have the breakdown for full-time, part-time.
Okay, if you can forward that to the clerk. I want to thank everybody for collaborating to get through this. Unfortunately, not much we can do, and I'd like to thank the minister and his partners for actually being able to stick around an extra 15 minutes. Mr. Newbley, thank you very much, and Ms. Sedlacki. Did I say it right? Yes. All right. Thank you very much, and we are adjourned.